Thank you. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution rests on the principle that no person or institution, including the government, has a monopoly on the truth, and that viewpoint-based suppression of speech by the government is dangerous and may even spell the death of a constitutional republic. Under the First Amendment, the government has no power to restrict expression because of its message, its ideas, its subject matter, or its content. As the Supreme Court has explained, if there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion. Labeling speech misinformation does not strip it of its First Amendment protection. That is so even if the speech is untrue, as some false statements are inevitable if there is to be an open and vigorous expression of views in public and private conversation. In refusing to carve out a First Amendment exception for false speech, the framers of our Constitution recognize the significant danger in making the government the ultimate arbiters of truth. And it is axiomatic, in the words of the Supreme Court, that the government may not induce, encourage, or promote private persons to accomplish what it constitutionally is forbidden to accomplish. Secretary Mayorkas, it was reported in May that the DHS, through the Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant Program, is funding groups targeting conservatives and equating them to domestic terrorists. Originally intended to combat foreign terrorist organizations' operations in the U.S., it has become yet another government tool weaponized against citizens to violate First Amendment protection protected affiliations and speech. One grant to the University of Dayton for a program titled Prevents O hosted a seminar titled Extremism, Rhetoric, and Democratic Precarity. One of the speakers, a known Antifa member, as part of his presentation shared a pyramid of far-right radicalization, which likened the Republican Party to the Heritage Foundation, the American Conservative Union, Fox News, Breitbart News, the National Rifle Association, Prager University, Tea Party Patriots, the MAGA movement, and the pro-police Blue Lives Matter movement, and the Christian Broadcasting Network as the first steps on path leading to Nazism and militant neo-Nazism, among other appalling ideologies and groups. This presenter reportedly also taught tactics on how to pressure the removal of conservatives from platforms, and he's even quoted as saying, "A lot of things we are doing are illegal, and a lot of it involves breaking the law." Secretary Mayorkas, does the affiliation with conservative or Christian beliefs make someone a Nazi or a domestic terrorist?
Of course not.
Okay. Then if that's so, why is your agency targeting Americans who are Christians and conservatives?
We are not.
Okay. Secretary Mayorkas, when did you become aware that the University of Dayton was implementing your grant funding program to target conservatives and Christians?
It is my understanding that it is not.
When did you become, so you're not aware of that?
No, it is my understanding that it is not.
You're unaware of the information that has been produced, and have you ever seen the pyramid that it's up on the screen right now?
I learned about the individual speaker's comments, with which I profoundly disagree.
Okay, so when did you find out about the speaker's comments?
I don't quite recall, Congresswoman.
All right, well, you know what, Mr. Mayorkas, I actually really want to thank you as well for coming here today, for your performance. I have watched with absolute fascination as you have danced and dodged and lied. Yes, lied. We know you've lied, you know you've lied, but more importantly, the American public knows that you lied throughout your testimony today. And yet you believe that you and your fellow architects of the censorship industrial complex think that you should be able to determine what is and isn't true, and what is and isn't untrue. You are the walking, talking epitome of the very tyrant that our forefathers recognized would gravitate towards government service. And it is because of people like you that they drafted the First Amendment. I thank them for their foresight. I thank them for recognizing that you and people like you would do everything in your power to control speech, to control freedom, to take away our rights. And they've written a document that isn't going to allow you to do that. Unfortunately, we still have courts and judges who recognize that you don't have the power that you are attempting to take, that you do not have the right to limit our freedom of speech, our freedom of association, our right to communicate. Thank God we have the First Amendment so that we can stop you from doing what you've been doing. With that, I yield back.
Your accusations are false.
Thank you. The chair yields to Mr. Hunt from Texas for 5 minutes.
A country without borders, sir, is not a country at all. A home without a roof and a home without a doors, sir, is not a home at all. I have 3 young children at my home. They're all under the age of 4 years old. My home is secure because I lock it up every single night because I care about their safety. It's actually the #1 role of our federal government is to keep our citizens safe. I'm a combat veteran. I'm willing to give my life for that. West Point guy, flew Apaches in Baghdad, and safety is something that's paramount to me. It's actually the reason why I'm in this room right now, is to figure out ways to keep our citizens safe. When you're at your home, sir, do you lock your doors?
Congressman, thank you very much for your service in our military. It's the highest form of service.
Thank you. Do you lock your doors at your home?
Congressman, I take care of the safety of my family.
Understood.
And we in the Department of Homeland Security work every day to protect the safety and security of the American people.
So you would agree that the American public should be afforded the exact same level of safety and security that you provide for yourself and your own family?
That is what 260,000 people dedicate their careers to.
Understood, sir.
Congressman.
Can you tell me the number of unaccompanied minors who have crossed our southern border during your tenure as Secretary?
Very pleased to provide that data to you, Congressman.
Okay. I've also heard that there are proponents of this administration that say that the fentanyl is coming across our southern borders, coming through legal ports of entry. Does that mean that no fentanyl is being smuggled across our border other than legal ports of entry?
Congressman, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection data evidences that more than 90% of the fentanyl that enters this country is coming through the ports of entry.
So that means that there are other parts of the border where fentanyl is pouring into our country.
That is precisely why we have dedicated increased resources, both personnel and technology, to interdict more fentanyl in these past 2 years than in prior years.
So I hear that, but I'm really speaking for the American public and the people that are in my district. That's not what we're seeing, because we're seeing an increased number of people being murdered by fentanyl every single day. You understand these numbers, correct?
Oh, I do, and Congressman, those numbers have been escalating for more than 5 years.
But they've escalated exponentially during your tenure. Chip Roy went through these numbers. I was sitting here watching. I'm actually appalled at just how much this has happened.
It is a tragedy, the devastation that fentanyl wreaks on our communities, and I look forward to working with you and with all of the members of this committee in addressing this challenge. This requires a united effort. This is not a partisan issue.
But unfortunately, sir, it's become a partisan issue. And I feel like we on this side are the ones that are truly trying to defend the lives of our fellow Americans. Switching gears on this one. This woman is Kamala Harris. She's the current vice president of our country. She's also the border czar. Now, that was dubbed by your boss. You see, on March 21st, 2021, President Biden tasked Vice President Kamala Harris with solving the border crisis and finding the root causes of illegal immigration because, as Biden said, she is the most qualified person to do the job. I'd like to make a motion to submit this transcript of Joe Biden's March 24th press conference to the record, Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
It's been 855 days since Joe Biden named Kamala Harris the border czar. Has she solved the root cause of illegal immigration, in your opinion?
Congressman, you have mischaracterized the vice president's role. The vice president is addressing—
No, I have not mischaracterized. Actually, that was the job that was given to her by the President of the United States of America. How did I mischaracterize that?
Congressman, the vice president—
Okay, that's fine. So she has not solved the issue. I think that's actually pretty clear, and I think my colleague Chip Roy did a very good job of articulating that. I want to go to my next topic, and this is something that the American public is really frustrated with, because it's been brought to my attention, and I think I've known it for a very, very long time. But for those who are not watching, The Secret Service is an agency that is within the Department of Homeland Security. This has been the case since March 1st, 2003. Now, sir, I'm assuming that you're aware that cocaine was found by Secret Service in the White House a couple of weeks ago. Is that right?
Yes.
According to Secret Service, marijuana was also found in the White House twice last year, twice. And we don't know who brought the drugs into the White House, which is the most secure building on earth. And if we can't secure the White House, then how can we secure the border? And without proper leadership, I am so fearful that we have turned our beloved White House into a trap house. And the American public deserve more, far, far more than that, sir. Thank you for your time. I yield back the rest.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.
Hơi khổ mắt một chút. Mọi người lỏng lỏng tay thôi sẽ dễ móc hơn nha. Qua hai chân nè. Tiếp. Qua ba chân nè. Rồi. Được hai mũi kép cao. Móc tiếp cho mình.